Welcome to the running
journey.
Welcome to the running journey.
Welcome to the running journey.
Welcome
to the running journey. Running journey, yeah. Welcome to The Running Journey, a transformative podcast telling the story of two brothers faced with a very tough time in their lives that decided to do something about it, get healthy, get fit, and start jogging. The Running Journey will take you through half marathons, Ironmans, ultra marathons, and their attempt at qualifying for the Boston Marathon.
Don't forget 5Ks. Sorry.
We're certainly not going to forget 5Ks, Charlie. This is The Running Journey. Listen to us while you run.
That's a great idea.
Okay, I think we have our intro. All right, let's start with a slow clap. Slow clap for both of us. Congratulations, Charlie. You are an Ironman. I believe that's how they say it. You are an Ironman. Do you even remember that moment? Probably not, eh?
Yeah, I remember it.
I was telling myself to make
vaguely.
a mental video of it, but it was just a blur, my first one.
Yeah.
It's just kind of all mixed together, and I don't remember like the finish and okay, go here, get your medal, go here. I don't remember.
Yeah.
Did you remember it a little bit?
Yeah, I do. I remember the last 5 miles. I was trying to do mental math if I was going to do under 12 hours, and I turned the corner and I looked at my watch. It was 11:59:19, and I kind of just went as hard as I could. I wanted to get under 12 hours. I don't know why that was important, but at the time it was important. I thought it would. Anyway, so I ran really hard, and then when I got to the line, I knew I had it, and I raised my arms, and I was glad it was over. But
Ironmans are not easy, eh?
Yeah.
First Ironman. Yeah. So today is Monday. We're recording this Monday afternoon. That was Saturday. So yesterday was a travel day. Yeah. You got up early, traveled all day, Houston. I don't know, what did you do? Calgary or Toronto or whatever. And
Toronto, yes. Yep.
And basically recovered all day. How are you feeling? Yeah. How are you feeling yesterday?
Feeling kind of okay, to be honest. Just a second here.
I don't like that microwave door open.
Yeah, no, that's annoying. Feeling kind of okay. The only thing that hurts a little bit is my foot, but it's not too bad. I could run a 5K today, but probably not very fast. And I got a bit of I feel like there's something wrong. I thought I had a stitch for the entire run, but it's still sore. So I don't know.
How are you emotionally, mentally?
What about you? How are you feeling?
Fuck, I'm on a high, man. I'm on a crazy high. It's the opposite of my last one and my ultra.
I can't hear you for some reason.
Oh, one sec.
Now I can.
Test.
Yeah, now I can hear you.
Okay. I'm on a crazy high, man. I don't know if it's I think after I did my ultra and after I did my first Ironman, I had the blues after, and they were pretty bad. They were pretty I wasn't great mentally. I was you get that dopamine drop or whatever the heck it's called, and you get nothing, and you're just wiped out because you gave it everything you had, and there's nothing. You had that dopamine high, and then you're crashing down from that. I'm not feeling that right now. I feel really good. I feel really excited. I'm pumped. There's a couple things that came out from this for me specifically is qualifying for Worlds. I'm okay, I have something that I need to target to. I have Run with Rob starting in 2.5 weeks, so I'm excited about that. I'm going to Portugal with my wife, and I found a nice half marathon out in Portugal I'm going to do. Really excited about that. So I got a bunch of stuff that I'm excited about short term. Yeah. And then I think about longer term. I think the summer is going to be fun because I want to do a bunch of triathlons, and then I got New York and we got Boston. So there's a path of things to do that are not impacting me. And I feel I feel like I could go do a marathon right now. I feel so good. It's crazy how good I feel, which is weird. My shoulder's really, really messed up though. Like I might be surgery kind of thing. Like it's really, really bad. I don't know what is going on, but it's bad. It happened during the last part of the swim. And it's hurting right now. How are the emails?
Oh, what?
How are your emails that you're reading as I'm talking?
No, I'm not. I'm listening.
Okay. So maybe just there's so many, like we've talked so much about this race already, you and I, the whole night, the next day. Maybe just like, how did it go, you think, overall? You did, okay, first off, Charlie, you ran at 11:59. I ran it, I don't even know, 11:12 or something like that. What did I do? 11:12?
11:13 maybe.
11:13? 11:13, 11:59.
11. I ran an 11 something.
Yeah, we both ran an 11 something. That's what I said last time. I ran a 14 something. It was 14:48. The swim. You want to start with the swim? How was the swim? Or how was the morning of?
Morning of was a little stressful because I had to figure. For some reason, I wanted to have 2 bottle holders on the back of my bike, and I didn't have it set up till the morning of. And we were able to do it because I was going to give up. Rob asked some volunteers, and we got it set up at the last second.
That was really like the last second. There would have not been another 5 minutes because it was getting.
Yeah. Then we walked straight to the swim start. That was a mile away. I think it went pretty well. Like I was pretty calm. I was surprisingly pretty calm for the swim to start. Like I wasn't at all very nervous, I wouldn't say. Like, or feeling like it would, like, you know, like you had said that when you did your first one that you were kind of panicked. I wasn't like that at all, I don't think.
In the first 10 minutes, I meant. In the first like 2 minutes specifically, and then
No, I was a little bit. I would say I was flustered because I kept crashing into people.
It's exactly what I said, though. That's exactly what I had said.
No, but I wasn't like you described it as being like you thought you were gonna die type of thing. To me, it wasn't like that. It was just just flustered, more annoyed and flustered that I was just crashing into people all the time, and I didn't really. So I was like, I guess I'll just take my time, you know. And but then on the way back, so there's about 1,300 meters out. That was really rough. And then on the way back, I kind of found some open water, and it was a lot better. So the swim went okay, I'd say, for the most part. The only other part I had was a cramp at the end, and because again, someone crashed into me, or I was swimming straight and someone just kind of swam right in front of me, and I crashed into them. And that kind of jolted me, and I got a cramp. So I had to kind of stay in the same, kind of just wait till my cramp kind of stopped seizing, and then just kept on swimming. But overall, I think it went really well. I took it really easy. What about you?
Well, I think a big difference this year versus my last year was that there was way, way, way less time to get nervous, because I don't want to say it was tight, but we had to take a shuttle last time. So the shuttle left at like 4 or whatever. It was really early, and we got there, and it was like, hurry up and wait, nothing to do. And you're just sitting there, and I was kind of cold. No, I wasn't cold. I don't remember, but I just remember it was taking forever. Forever. And you just want to get in the water. You just want the day to start, and you can't. This one, it was like, we got there, we used the washroom, we put our wetsuits on, and it was kind of like the race had already started, and we were like 10 minutes away from starting, right? Like it was. I started 8 minutes after you. That 8 minutes like seemed to take forever, maybe. Yeah. Okay. So for me, it was maybe 5 minutes after we were done and ready and set up, and shook my dad's hand and thanks so much. See you at the finish line. 5 minutes, and I was in the water. So there wasn't really time to get stressed out, which was good. I'm glad sorry, go ahead.
2 lessons that I think I would take away from the swim would be, one, like I should have been people like overseed themselves. It feels like, because obviously people weren't like the people in front of me. I had to pass so many people, right?
What did I tell you?
You did tell me that. So I would have put myself a little bit more forward so I didn't have to like swim over so many people.
Dude, you were like, you wanted to go 145 or something, 140 when you first told me. Explain how it works maybe real quick, just for the viewers.
Yeah, so the swim start, they give you, well, where it was in Texas was, it was 121 to 130.
They have signs. There's like volunteers with signs.
And I tried to put myself kind of at the middle back of that group, like 125 around. And just how it ended up, I ended up being a little bit further back, I think, somehow. Just because how the lineup moved, I ended up being like way further back, I think. And so there was like some 130 swimmers, like there was 130 and 135 swimmers around me.
And those are people that may have swam 140s and 145s, right?
Yeah. So anyways, so I think just the way that lineup, and I was a little bit further back than I should have been. So I had to swim over a lot of people that weren't like, maybe that made it harder for me at the beginning. Right. So that's how it worked. What was your question?
Well, that's exactly what I told you that would happen. I said, don't seed yourself. Go to a conservative number because you're going to have to swim over people and people. Yeah. And then I saw the 121 and I went like a little bit in front of that. I went to like maybe 119 or 120, something like that, 118. And I wish I would have gone further ahead yet, but whatever.
Yeah. And then the other thing I learned is like, so the first time I crashed into someone, I'm like, what the hell's going on? I just completely stopped because this was my first like real like crowded swim. I just completely stopped, waited for like 10 seconds, like just kind of doggy paddled for a bit and then started swimming again. Then I'd like line up where I could go between people so I wouldn't crash again. And then I crash again in someone like 2 minutes later and then do the same thing. So I did that the whole first third of the swim. So that was probably tired me out a little bit more than I wanted to. So what I would do differently is when I crash, just keep swimming. Like, I mean, I'm pretty solid. I could probably just keep going, but first I was just flustered. So that's what I did in the second half. Whenever I'd hit someone, I just keep swimming and just go past them. Right.
Huh.
Yeah.
It's like, the water needs to be wider for the amount of people that are swimming there, right? Because once the field thins out, and on the way back it was way wider, right?
Yeah.
Or is it just me? It felt like it was way, way, way wider on the way back.
Yeah, it was wider on the way back, but also people were more dispersed. But at the end, it was narrow again, right? In the canal.
Yeah, it was narrow in the canal, but by then you were. I don't know. For me in the canal, okay, so what did you do on the second third? So it was a third out, roughly, a third back, and then a third in a canal, which was what, maybe, was it 30 yards wide?
Yeah, about that, yeah.
30 yards wide.
50 yards, maybe?
You think it was 50? Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know, 30 maybe.
That's half a football field. I don't think it was.
Yeah, maybe 30, yeah.
Yeah, because you were telling me you had a strategy when you. So you're the one.
Yeah, so I stayed on the right.
Yeah, because you're coming back and there's a buoy, but you have to keep the buoy on the left. So basically, as long as so I hogged the shoreline of the river or whatever the heck it is, the lake, and I was literally on the shoreline. I was the closest body to the shoreline, and then I would look, and it's easy to do your sighting, right? Because I NB swim, so I'd go look. Okay, I'm still 4 feet from the shoreline. And I just swam on the shoreline the whole way. And I had nobody in my way. And I cruised. I passed a bunch of people on this, well, according to their data anyways. Passed a bunch of people.
I passed 100, like based on the stats, I passed 100 people in the last 2/3 of the swim. But I probably passed even more than that because I was like farther seated back. So I bet you I passed like probably 150 people in the second half of the swing, I guess. I'm guessing.
What was your time for the first third?
Well, there wasn't that much difference. Like it was 2:20. It was like a 2:20 pace.
What was your time? 26, 27, 20?
I don't know.
I was 26:50 or something, or 25:50.
I have it here.
Anyways, it was you passed a ton of people. Actually, when I look at your race, you just passed people the whole way. Like you didn't.
Yeah, it was pretty consistent. Well, because it went from weakest to best events, right?
Yeah, you started 900th, roughly, give or take, and you finished 438. So you went 900, 800. By the time you started the bike, you were 800, 750, 6. By the time you started
31:17.
31:17. Okay.
And you were what?
20, I think 26 something.
Yeah, so I lost 5 of my 10 minutes right there.
Right.
On the first third.
Did I beat you by 10 minutes on the swim?
I think so, yeah.
Okay.
The closest we got was at the bike finish. You were only 3 minutes ahead of me on the clock.
I was, I was like 21 spots ahead of you.
Yeah.
Actually, you got within 20 on the interval before the end. You got within 20 spots. Yeah. So 20 spots would be like like just a few minutes.
Yeah.
I pushed harder in the residential streets, I guess. Okay, so we're getting out of the swim. How did you feel at the end of the swim? For me, I felt like the end of the swim kind of came quick. I was like, oh, yeah, okay, cool. We're here already.
Yeah, it seemed like, to me, I kind of took it easy at the end. It felt long, like, because the first stretch felt so long. On the way back, it didn't feel so bad. And then at the end, I was like, okay, coach said, take it easy. So I was trying to just take it easy. And then I cramped. Sorry, when I hit that guy, I cramped. I forgot. And then I just took it easy. So I felt okay coming out of the swim, but I checked my heart rate and it said 155. I don't know if I was just because I was excited or what, but I didn't feel like I was working that hard.
Yeah, my heart rate averaged 164 or something. I feel like I pushed hard, but I started high just like last race because I was
for the swim, you mean?
Yeah, I started at 170, nervous or whatever. I don't know.
I'd love to see. I don't know. I left my watch, so I don't know. It'll come back eventually, but
you left your in the bag with
Dwayne.
Okay, 1:15:30 I did on the swim. Okay.
Yeah, so you're almost exactly 10 ahead of me.
So I feel like that. I mean, that's a good swim.
So sorry. So bike plus swim, we were almost exactly tied.
Okay.
Your transition, you beat me by 3.
Okay.
And then you crushed me on the run, obviously.
Okay, let's get to the transition. Was my advice for the transition any good? Says the guy who took 20 minutes last year to do his transition.
I don't remember what your advice was.
Well, I think I was more advice for myself and you were kind of just listening, but I was saying like do your break on the bike. Like,
oh yeah. No, that I knew, but so I didn't take a break during the transition. All I did was I got to the transition. I had to piss so bad, so this is another. I tried to piss while I was swimming, but I just couldn't do it. Honestly, the bathroom was right beside the transition, so it wasn't a big deal. Like it was like to me, it only cost like 10 seconds to take the piss on the thing. I put my sunscreen on. I don't know how you did yours so quick because all I had to do was change my like what took me so long? I don't know what took me so long.
How long was your transition? How long was your transition?
9, like it was still better than average, I think, like 9:26.
Yeah, I had like a really good transition compared to like the
other.
I jogged the whole thing. I had strippers. Did you use the strippers?
Yeah, I used the strippers.
Yeah.
Strippers I walked the whole thing.
So I jogged. I passed a whole bunch of people. It's not that much.
I did. Oh, sorry. Once I got on the grass, I started jogging a little bit. But I jogged all the way to the other end.
Well, and
then I had to jog back because I thought my bike was at one end, but it's the other end. So I double back twice. Yeah, I forgot about that.
I don't know. I got changed real quick. Just strip, bike shorts, bike jacket, socks, shoes, helmet, shades, go. That's what I did. And then when I got my bike, I ran with my bike all the way to the start.
Yeah, and then so I think where I lost some time there was the back and forth, the piss. I walked a lot. I walked most of the transition, but I did run a bit until I got lost.
But remember, 9 minutes is
it's not bad.
It's a good transition.
I think overall it's pretty good. Like it's I mean, rookie. It's not
Yeah,
too
I did
bad.
20 minutes last year, right? So it's a
Yeah.
little better, a little better. Okay, so now you're biking. You get off, you're biking, you're settling in for a long day on the bike. What are kind of your first thoughts?
Oh, there's a lot of traffic here.
Yeah.
So there was a lot of
busy.
traffic. So I kind of just took it easy for like the first 20 miles because I was just like, I'll kind of just go with the flow. Where there's places to pass, I'll pass. And because I was pretty much faster than anyone around me, because I guess relative to relative to the swimmers, plus I probably started a little bit further back. So I was just kind of navigating traffic. What about you when you started in the like residential technical area?
Yeah, I kind of knew I should have looked more at the race because I was like, I thought we were just going there and back, and like, where are we going?
But
here?
I told you the first 15 miles were like in the streets,
loopy,
right?
yeah. So I mean, I was just going same as you, just wanted to get ready, and I knew that okay, we're gonna get on the interstate soon, and like that's when I got to get ready, and I probably did the exact same thing as you, just kind of take it in, kind of get ready. Not focus too much on heart rate or pace. Just go, get warmed up, go push a little bit. And that's what I did. I pushed a little bit and I don't know, I was ready to hit the bike. And then obviously you turn on that interstate and you're going straight south, right?
Slightly southeast.
And then the wind on the first loop was 7 on 10 probably in terms of frustration level for me. The wind on the second loop was more like a 9 on 10. And I read some Facebook message. I guess it picked up in the afternoon.
Yeah. So I would say, I don't know, but I was fully expecting the wind because I had like checked before in the morning, and I knew that the outs would be against the wind. So I kind of was mentally prepared for it. And like, to me, it didn't fluster me at all. Well, I was doing like 29K against the wind the first time.
Yeah.
And then definitely the second loop, it picked up big time. The second loop. Yeah. And then on the way back, it was like pretty much just sailing,
I was doing 27-ish against that wind. And then I was doing like 34, 35 on the way back. Some were 38, the 5-kilometer splits. So some were
I'd have to check my, I don't have my bike computer either, so I'll have to check. But I'm guessing the first time on the way out, I was like 28, 29. And then the second time I was probably like 26, about 26, because I was also a little bit more tired. But I know I went way faster on the second time back in.
Same.
So my last 30 miles were probably my fastest and probably the most power too.
Yeah, I pushed hard because I was like, I started thinking. So I kind of had a 6-hour goal, a stretch goal, and I was measuring. I don't know about you, but this is the least I've ever looked at my clock ever. Like on the swim, I looked at it twice maybe. I just felt good.
Well, in the swim, I didn't have it, so I just swam. Yeah.
But on my other races, I always like look. And kind of, let's go. How many? Another 50 meters. But on the bike here, like I started my bike computer, started my watch, and I was like, I'm just going for a bike ride. I'm just going to enjoy my day. I'm just going to go for a bike ride. And every once in a while I'd look.
But you must have been pushing
I was pushing
power.
Yeah, I was pushing good power.
But
So just to finish.
Obviously you were good for the run though.
Anyway. Yeah, just to finish though. So what I was doing for measuring, I was just say above or below 2 minutes per kilometer. So above or below 6 hours.
So so I was doing
if you do the entire thing at exactly 30 kilometers an hour, it's 6 hours on the nose. It's 2 minutes per kilometer. So you were doing miles instead.
Yeah, sorry. I was doing above or below 20 miles per hour. So after I guess on the way back, so after 60 miles, I was like 3 minutes over.
Yeah, that's right by the turn.
Right before you start going against the wind on the way back, okay?
Yeah.
Then at 80 miles, I had lost another 4 minutes. So I guess I had slowed down against the wind. So I was 7 minutes behind. But then I ended up only 2 minutes 2 minutes behind the 20 miles an hour pace.
So I had way bigger swings than you did on my.
Sorry, I pushed way more power against the wind. I guess that's what Patrick told me to go like 20% up against the wind and 20% down with.
I think I was probably not. I probably didn't do that right because I ended up. I lost like 11 minutes based on 6 hours, and then I gained like 14, and then I lost.
Well, I guess so. You're probably heavier the way. So
That's
you're probably
I think
slightly
is a big
heavier. I don't know. So you were probably pushing a lot of power. So when you're going downwind, because you're pushing so much power, you were going. But against the wind, pushing that power is probably not like it's harder because you're a bit heavier, probably.
Yeah, like there's a 40 kilometers in a row here where I averaged 37 kilometers per hour. I don't know what that is for miles.
I think we need. I think the jersey, my jersey. I looked at the photos just now, and like they're pretty baggy.
Oh, you need to be more aerodynamic.
Like probably a skin tight shirt would have helped.
Yeah, perhaps a skin tight jersey shirt.
Yeah,
like a jersey shirt, not a bike, not a loosey kind of. I bought my jersey when I was an XL.
Yeah.
And it's for sure loose on me. And the other thing that I did is I only have one container for my water. So I had my scratch and I had my mixing kind of jug.
Yeah.
So every time I would pick up water, I'd pick it up. I'd have to put it in my jersey pouch.
Oh, and then I'd have to. Not bad.
Yeah, but it would kind of roll off to the side, and in the shadows I could see.
Yeah.
So like I know I wasn't that aerodynamic, but I'd try to get through it quick, replace it, and then kind of just keep going that way. But I definitely need another water ball holder now that I'm able to grab and so last year I stopped every aid station I stopped, and I would take my time, not get off my bike, but stop, and then put ice in there, put water, Gatorade, thank the volunteer, keep going. This year, 0 stops. I stopped at mile 62, the aid station. How about you?
0 stops. A lot of slowdowns though. So I only picked up 2 water bottles from the aid stations. Sorry, 3.
Where were you
getting your hydration? I just drank as much as I could, and then I threw it away.
Right.
That was probably the hardest thing for me, is the grabbing the water bottles on the fly. I would slow right down to like 5 kilometers, 10 kilometers an hour. I don't know.
And then some people in front of you are slowing down, right? Or speeding up behind you or whatever.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, I would normally like plan that a little bit, but yeah. So it wasn't bad. Like, I think I did good for my first one. Like, I mean, I didn't stop once, and I think the bike went pretty much as well as it could have. The only one thing is I almost wiped out the one time I didn't realize it was a U-turn, and I was going downhill and I was going a little too fast. So I tried to do the quick U-turn, but I knew I didn't think I'd make it. So I went around the one cone and then came back, saved it. But besides that, I think almost, and then on my dismount, I dropped my bike, but that was fine. But besides that, I think it went pretty much perfect. The bike, like, I guess.
Yeah, what did you do for bike? What was your result? Like
5:43.17.
So that's good. That's really
decent.
Good.
Yeah.
5:43. So that beat me by, what did that beat me by? 10 minutes or something?
Yeah. So whatever you beat me on the swim, I beat you on the bike pretty much.
Right. Because the transition was the only difference.
Yeah.
Yeah. I did 5:52. Yeah. So 9 minutes, almost 5:52.53. So 10 minutes basically. I felt like I guess, because I was thinking if I need to trim an hour off my time, I know I could trim like 10 or 15 or maybe 20 minutes off the time, but like an aggressive effort. But I think of the damage that would do on the run, right? Like,
well, no. So you need to get more power before you can't. So you can always you have insane aerobic capacity, right? So you get a little bit more power in your legs, and that going to translate to so much more speed for you, because you'll be able to go with a higher cadence, like go with a high cadence, and you'll be able to, like, believe me, you're close on the bike to getting, like, you just need a bit more power in your legs. That's it.
It's funny because switch gears real quick and talk about, so, you know, people say, oh, my whole life I wanted to do this. I wanted to qualify for Boston. And when we talked about Boston, I said, I kind of felt like I didn't belong because it came up so quick that I was all of a sudden able to qualify for Boston. Like it was within 3 months or whatever, right? So like I dreamt of qualifying for Boston for 3 months kind of thing. Yeah. And then you and I talked about qualifying for Worlds at Ironman the night before, I think. And I was like, oh yeah, 12, I need to do 12. And I kind of announced that it was my goal to like my dad and to some of my buddies at dinner there on Friday. I was like, yeah. It's my goal. I'd like to qualify. I need to do 12. And I told Trav, you're not that far from dude, because he's 50, Trav. Yeah. And he can do, I think he could probably do an 11:30 or even faster. I think he's fit, and he didn't have a great day. He still did a 12:20 or whatever, but he had stomach issues. So I think he could probably do. So I was telling him, you're not that far. Like you're close. You're close to doing it. He's like, yeah. And I said, oh, maybe someday if I could trim. And then here we go. Race award banquet morning. We show up. You had to leave for your flight. We show up and it's taking forever. Like you asked me, is it going to be on time? I was like, it was on time last year. It took like 45 minutes. We were in and out. Well, they had this huge production. They had a band. They had an hour-long speech for the volunteers. We didn't even stay for the video. We had to leave for our flight. I didn't even get to catch. And of course, they did the roll down for my age category, and I went one spot behind me. So one guy behind me qualified for the World.
So had you stayed, you would have gotten.
Had I stayed, I would have gotten my spot at the World Championships in Nice. And I'd been dreaming about that for like 2 days, a day and a half. I've been dreaming about.
Really? Wow, I didn't know you were not letting on your true expectations at all. You told me, "Oh, I'm going to take it easy."
No. What I'm saying is I didn't even think it was possible for me to qualify for the World. No, we're saying the same thing.
Oh, okay.
No, I'm making a joke how people say, "Oh, I've been working my whole life trying to qualify for the Worlds." Yeah. No, I thought about it after I finished my race. I was like, "Okay, I'm an hour away." And I was like, okay, I'm close. That was a day. And then the next morning we went to the breakfast and I didn't qualify. I didn't think I qualified, but I did. No, I thought I could break 12, and I was way stronger than I thought I would be on the bike. And my run was half hour faster than I thought it would be. So no, I don't think I sandbagged, if that's what you're thinking. I surprised myself. I
honestly think that I helped you a lot. Because I think I put the idea in your mind that you could do 4 hours on the marathon. And I think I pushed you on the bike a little bit. So I'll take a bit of credit for your.
I think you deserve some credit. And you also deserve credit because I saw you a few times, but I'll get to that in a sec. But first, the credit that you deserve for I had no idea that like people who did sub threes were doing like 3:30s and 3:40s on the marathon. I thought that was impossible to do a 3:30 till you told me when we recorded one of these episodes a month ago or whatever. And you were like, well, no, people who do 3 hours, like that's what they do. They do 3:30, 3:40s on the marathon. And like, then a lot of them breaks 4. And I was just like, what? Like that hit me. Cause in my mind, it was like a 5-hour marathon or a 4-hour. Remember how hard it was in Des Moines? So I started Googling it. I started doing research, and you were right. Of course, that's kind of what the people who qualify for Boston, that's the good ones. That's what they're able to do. So I started thinking about breaking a 4, but I had no idea if I'd really be able to do it. But I was like, hey, I'm able to do that. Those people are able to do that. Why can't I do it?
Why not? Yeah.
Yeah. Why not me? But I did see you. So I only saw you twice all day.
In my head, I thought I was going to do 4, but we'll talk about the run a little bit later. But,
yeah. But I just want to finish the one. Okay. I saw you twice all day. One time I saw you, I kept thinking in my head, Charlie's going to pass me. When is he going to pass me? Because I knew you were a way better biker than me. And
I thought I was going to pass you on the bike for sure. I'm like, how come I'm not passing him yet? I guess he's having a good day on the bike. That's good for him.
I thought maybe you passed me when I stopped at the special needs. I thought maybe he'd zoom by me, and I didn't, because I stopped maybe a minute.
You stopped at 60?
62.
Okay. But you said, hey, Charlie, at that was like 82.
Yeah. So between then, I was like, well, maybe he passed me, or I don't know.
Yeah.
But then as I was turning, so I forgot to put my chamois cream on, which I can't believe I was able to do 3 hours plus with no chamois cream, and I felt great. Remember I told you, like, for some reason, race day, you need less pain medication.
That's one thing. Next time I'm wearing a tri-suit.
I'm probably ready for a tri-suit too. So I was like, I should probably put some cream on, but I felt good. I'm like, can it hurt? Is it possibly going to hurt me, or is it might help me more than the 30 seconds I'm going to lose to put the cream on? So then I thought, okay, I want to eat my Snickers. I had left the Snickers for my bag. I had 1 Snickers in that bag, 2 Snickers actually. I was like, I wanted to eat a Snickers to see how it felt. So I'll stop. I'll grab my Snickers. I'll put the cream on and I'll just go. It'll be like a 40-second stop. So that's what I did. And I thought maybe he passed me there. Snickers was unreal, by the way. So good. It was melted. So it was like a gel. I had to like do that. And then when I turned at mile 83, I think it was, or 84, and you're ready to go downhill on the way back, I was like, well, if he hasn't passed me, he's probably right behind me. So I'll see him in the first little chunk here. So I was watching for you because I was going that way. You were coming this way. And then I saw you and I screamed, hey, Charlie. And I was maybe 1 or 2 miles kind of ahead of you. Plus, so maybe.
Yeah, you were probably 4 miles ahead of me at that
4
time,
miles.
something like that. Yeah.
3-4 miles, something like that. And then I don't know if you saw me or not, but I was like, okay, he's behind me. So then I was like, shit, I can't let him pass me. So then I pushed. Those are my hardest 40 miles. I
also pushed a little hard on those miles at the end.
I was like, not that it matters. And then I had to tell myself in the back of my mind, Rob, it's not a competition against your brother right now. It's not a competition. Yeah. He's going to have a great day. He's going to do what he can do. Focus on what you can control. I kept saying, Rob, it's not a competition with your brother. Anyways, finished the bike. And I remember you were saying that like the bike for you was not 180 kilometers, right?
Oh, I felt like once we were done
134
against the wind, like mile 82, that was it. It was done.
Yeah, for me, I calculated out. I was doing the math, and I knew it was 134, mile 134. So I knew that at kilometer 134, I was done the bike.
Yeah,
and he was like,
done. We're just taking the wind home.
Taking the wind home, shut her down, pack it in. So I was so pumped when I turned.
But yet I bet you I put up as much power on those last 30 miles that I did the rest of the way. It was just like psychological, you know.
It's all mental.
Yeah.
Like, which is like 90% of that race is mental.
Oh yeah. Yeah. We'll get to it when we get to the run. Obviously.
Yeah. Okay. So then we get to the bike transition. You do the last 22 miles downwind. I think downhill, or am I wrong?
No, it's just downwind. It was just downwind.
Okay. Downwind. It felt downhill.
There's no elevation change. Like, I mean,
there's a little bit, but there's no overall.
It's just the overpasses though, right?
Yeah.
Like,
okay. So we get to the end, and then you do the last kind of 10 miles in town, like into Woodlands, your turn. And then you're pumped because you're like, okay, I'm getting to the end. I'm going to turn here. I can see the stadium. I'm coming. All right. It's fun. You see the stadium, drop your bike off, throw your bike to someone, grab your run. How did you feel going into that, putting the shoes on and getting ready for the run?
For some reason, I was like doubting myself a lot. I was like, man, can I do a marathon right now? Like, a marathon is hard.
Marathons are hard.
And I have to do one right now. I'm pretty tired. Then I tried to just push those thoughts away, and I just started running because I knew that was the key, just to start running. So it took me 9 minutes. I don't know what took me so long for that one too.
That's like 7 minutes faster than mine last year, just so you know. But I know you feel like I did 6:38. You should have done better, but
I feel like I kind of went pretty fast. Like, so I'm not sure what took me so long. I think because I was walking. So I started walking on the concrete, and that wasn't good for my foot. So then I went on the grass and I ran a little bit. I could run on the grass, but not on the concrete. So anyways, I ran a little bit, but I could have, if I would have, I bet you that's the difference.
Did you take your shoes off?
I did first after I gave the guy my bike.
Yeah.
So now I saw the pros. I saw how the pros do it, and I'll do it like that next time. You just take your shoes off before you end the bike, and instead of unclipping, you just dismount with your feet off the bike. Like that. that to me even seems easier. Anyway, so I just took my shoes off right after I handed off my bike to the volunteer. I took my shoes off, and then I started kind of walking fast, but I walked most of it, and I bet you ran it.
I ran
That's
it.
why.
Yeah.
So that's why your transition was better.
Okay, yeah, because for me, if I reverse a little bit, above and below 6 hours, I was like 3-4 hours in after I did the against the wind, and I was only like 4 minutes over 6 hour pace.
Yeah.
And I knew I had the wind in my back coming home. I was like, I'm going to break 6 hours if I push hard enough. And that gives me 122 with my transition. If I could do like a 6, I said 330 gives me a sub 11.
So you weren't even thinking about 12 anymore. You're thinking about 11 now.
At that point, I was like 11's in play, 11's in reach. And I pushed hard on the last bike. I shaved another 14 minutes or whatever. So now I needed a 337. So I was like 337, like that's doable. So I was like, I was not walking. I was not like, I tried to do my transition as fast as I could because I thought every minute I could shave out the transition is a minute I get to slow down on the race. So that's why I did hard the transition. So 6:38 it took you 9 minutes, but like then you got your shoes on, you're out running, and you started.
And as soon as I got my shoes on, I started running.
Yeah, and you were jogging.
So it wasn't too bad. Like my transition wasn't bad. Oh, I had to kind of recoup after I like threw my bike, but besides that, my transition wasn't too bad.
And you put the shoes. Okay, so now you're jogging. You go through run out.
The hardest shoes to put on in the world, the Alpha Flies.
Did that take you some time?
No, I
were you mentally prepared for it?
Yeah, I was like, this is gonna be hard. Pull hard.
We had talked about it in the morning. Remember how hard it's gonna be to put those shoes on. You're gonna work quick.
Yeah. No, I did it. Yeah.
And then you're out and you're running. How was the first mile?
First mile was fine. It felt so easy. Like I felt like I was barely moving, and then I checked my watch and it said like, for me it was like a 5. So my watch is giving me kilometers. So it was a 5:20 kilometer.
It's pretty fast.
Which it was faster than what my coach and I had planned, and it felt like I was barely moving. So I don't know about you.
So my watch died right after the bike. So right after the bike, it died. And I was like, okay. So I had already decided my plan was going to be to use my phone for my Nike Runkeeper app. And I was just going to track my pace with my phone. And I was going to keep my phone on me. Plus, you see the odd text from people or whatever, motivation if you need it. You have your phone. I was like, okay, I'll have my phone with me. It wouldn't load. The login wasn't working. So I couldn't, and I tried my Under Armour app. It wasn't working. So I tried Strava. Nothing was working on my phone for some reason. So I was like, well, I don't need this phone now. So at the first aid station up that hill, I gave my phone to the volunteer. I was like, hey, can you hold this? He's like, yeah. And I said, no watch, no phone. I'm going completely off. But I had asked someone at the start of the run, the exact start, what time it was. And I knew it was 22 after. And I knew I'd started at 58:50. So I knew I had 37 minutes. I knew I had 3 hours and 37 minutes if I wanted to do a sub 4. I did the math real quick. I'm like, okay, that's, what was that? 8. I want to say 8.
Sorry, what did you need? 3.
I needed a 3:37. So that's 8:16 or
8:20 or something probably.
Hold on. I have it here. 8:17. I need an 8:17. I was like, those are fast miles. Those are like very fast miles.
After an hour, like for an Ironman, it's pretty fast.
And I did like 12-minute miles, my other one, right? I did 5. So I was like, well, you know what? I'm not going to give up on that goal. I'm just going to see.
Yeah, keep it in play, right?
I want to keep it in play. I knew that if I did 11-minute miles, it was gone within 2 miles. I would lose that goal. Right?
Yeah.
But if I was doing 8:30s or 8:40s, at least it was in play. So that what I decided to do is just run with my feel, completely by feel, which is how you like to run. And normally I would have been so anti that, but because you've talked to me about it so much and like, trust your heart, listen to your heart, see how you're doing, see your pace. And sometimes it's the best way to run. So I just ran complete feel. And I said, I'll do that for a while. And I just kind of enjoyed the race. 3 miles in, exactly 3 miles in at the 3 mile sign, I said, hey, what time is it? And the guy's like, it's 46. I was like, 46? I'm doing 8-minute miles.
You did 24 minutes.
Yeah. And I was like, I'm doing 8-minute miles. No, because he goes, it's 8:30, it's 2:30. I'm like, exactly? And he's like, no, exactly. It's just before 2:30. And I'm like, exactly? And he goes, 26 or 46, or just before. And I was like, okay, thanks. So I had the exact time. So I knew. So I was like, okay, 20, so 8-minute miles. So this is 8-minute miles. It felt way slower. It felt like I was going like 9.5-minute miles.
Yeah.
But that's in your head. So I said, okay, well, I'm just going to see how long I can keep this pace up. And every once in a while I jog next to a guy and I go, what pace is this? And he'd go like 9:20 or whatever. But I knew I was passing him. So I was like, okay, it's a little faster. And I didn't get another read till mile 6 or mile 7. And I was still right on pace.
There is something to be said about just chunking up mileage and not even thinking about your pace for a bit.
My God, those first 8 miles, I had no watch, no nothing. And it was, I loved it. It was just me in the race and my heart.
That is another reason why I think feel is a good way to go. You do mileage without, thinking about it.
Yeah, it was awesome. And then Sil and the boys, my crew, they saw me I saw them at mile 8 or 9, and Sil gave me his watch. He's like, hey, do you want to watch for your pacing? I was like, yeah, probably should. So I put his watch on. And then I started checking. And the next 13 miles were not as good. I ended up doing my next half in about 1:56 or something. So around mile 6.
That's amazing, man.
Yeah, but I knew.
So you did both halves, pretty even split though? That sounds like a pretty even split.
Well, I don't have the exact data, but I wanted to check it. So I think what ended up happening is my last 2-3 miles were really quick. My last mile is a 7-minute mile, according to this. And
yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
I don't know if that's accurate. I know I was probably hustling because I felt good, but I realized that mile 15, I was like, it's not happening. Because now I was like 5 minutes behind, 4 minutes behind.
Yeah.
And I was like, I can't. I felt myself slowing down a little bit. I was like,
the worst part of a marathon.
Yeah, because I always do negative splits, right? And this was I'd never done this experience where I'm going to go hard and see how long I can hold that pace.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
I've never done that. You've done it maybe? I don't know. But I could sense myself
not very
falling.
often. I think it's, usually those that don't end up well.
I know. And I could think about that. I'm like, fuck, this is how people
But
fail.
I guess to me though, it's a bit different when you're like, so you had a goal. If you don't hit 11, what's the worst? You're gonna bonk.
I knew I wasn't
11:30, right? So to me, it's a cost benefit analysis that you have to do, right?
Yeah, and that's what I did. I said, "There's no way I'm not breaking 12. There's no way." Like I have an hour. I have an hour to do 10 miles, an extra hour. I could do 15-minute miles. So that wasn't happening. So I was like, I'm gonna try it, knowing in the back of my mind, if I go too hard and I hurt myself and I have to walk, I'll just walk, whatever. But I knew I wasn't gonna walk. I felt good.
Yeah,
I felt really good. So, anyways, that's when I knew I wasn't gonna make sub 11. So then I kind of pushed what I thought was pretty hard. I finished my run in 3:50, and I finished my Ironman in 11 hours and 11 minutes. Now, for your run, you had it was your first Ironman. So you said you started. It was tough.
Yeah, well, I mean, I was doing good. I think for the first about 5-6 miles, I was probably close to 9-minute mile pace, like around that 4-hour pace, for probably the first 5-6 miles, I would say. But my heart rate was like 156. It was going up to 160, and to me, like, shouldn't really be a big deal. Like usually when I run my marathons, like I'll do 165 the whole marathon or 170, right? But it just felt different. It just felt harder. I'm not sure why it felt so much harder than it just felt so far away.
Fuck, it's an Ironman. Like it's incredibly hard to do.
The finish line just felt so far away. So what I'm trying to say is that I think physically I could have ran faster, but mentally I wasn't ready for it mentally. So I think the benefit of doing it, the benefit for me is that now I've experienced that, and I know, like, to me it's not just physical, it's mental too. So I wasn't there mentally. I think was part of it. At mile 8, I started having what I thought was like a stitch, and
Like a cramp, kind of a side cramp.
Yeah, and then that stayed with me the entire. I wasn't sure what I was doing with, like, was I hydrated? My peas were yellow, but felt like I was drinking so much water, like ridiculous amount of water. Anyways, I didn't feel great, so I started doing kind of at that point I'm like, okay, well, I'll just I'll just finish it, but I want to keep moving. I don't want to do like in my head I was like, don't have an embarrassing like 5 hour. For some reason that would have been embarrassing to me, a 5 hour marathon.
5:19 I did last year.
Anyways, like do something decent, I guess, was in my head, like, right?
Because Rob's gonna judge me if I cross it.
No, I'm gonna judge myself. So I just kind of I had a strategy. I was like, as long as I keep, like, it felt so hard just to finish. Anyways, as long as I keep getting some realist, like, moving forward, right? Eventually the finish line will come. That's how it felt. So I was like, what do I need to do to keep moving? So I started doing these small walk breaks. So the first couple of times I did it, I was like, okay, I'll do a walk break. I'll let my heart rate go back down to 140. Then I'll start running for as long as my heart rate stays under 160. But then I did that for a while and my heart rate wasn't reaching 160 and I couldn't keep running. I just felt like I couldn't keep running. So then I started, okay, well, I'm just going to take one walk break between each water station.
What miles would this at roughly?
I started at 8.
The second loop. So the course was 8.3 mile loop.
It was before the end of the first loop that I started doing this.
Okay.
So then I started doing that. And then I would feel a little bit better for a bit. And then I would say, okay, I think I did one mile in the second loop. I think I did 1 mile where I did the whole one all the way from one aid station to another, ran the whole thing. But then it went up and down, like how I felt. But my strategy was just to always keep moving. But I would take walk breaks. But I would try to keep the walk breaks as short as possible. And then I'd start running and I'd say, okay, I'd like spot something in the horizon and say, I'm running up to there. So it was really like I was running 2 minutes.
Very short goals.
And then I was walking 30 seconds, something like that. And I kept doing that for a long time. And then at some point, like the whole second loop was really, really hard for me. Like I was like, man, this is going to take like forever. Anyways.
No, don't say anyways. Share. This is what I want to hear.
Yeah. So great. The whole second loop was so hard. But then I started doing math and I'm like, I was like, I didn't know, my watch didn't show the hours. So I couldn't know, which hour I was on. But I had the minutes on it. Okay.
What do you mean?
Like, I didn't know if it was 11 hours or 10 hours or 8 hours I was into it. So I started trying to figure out with math which hour I was on.
Well, you could have just asked someone what time it is?
Yeah, I was a zombie. Like, I would have been. So, but at some point I figured out, I may have an hour. I may have a chance to break 12 hours because I started figuring out, I'm like, to break 12 hours, I probably need like around 4:30 was in my head. And even just figuring that out was like, I was very foggy in my brain at that time. But in my head, I was like 4:30. It must be 12 hours. So at some point I figured I had an hour 40 or an hour 45 or something to do the last 13 miles. Something like that.
Was it hour 40 for the last 13? Okay, so really quick.
I was like, I knew I had like just over like a 10-minute per mile or just under 11-minute per mile pace at some point. But I wasn't sure. I was like, it's close to 11. It's between 10 and 11 somewhere. I knew. so that kind of thought gave me a second wind. But what it did was, like, in that second loop, I started running a little bit longer, and then I told myself, okay, keep the breaks short. So my walks were like 1 or 2 cones at the most, and then I would like 20.
Cones.
You know how there's cones on the race course the whole way?
Oh, no, I didn't know.
You didn't notice because you were running the whole time, and when you're walking, it's like, anyways. So I would like really, really short walk breaks, like 20, 30 seconds. And then I would give myself, and if it was too hard to run for long, I'd say it's better to take a shorter break and not run as long than to take long walk breaks, because long walk breaks that you then become, you walk forever, right?
Yeah.
So I was really forcing myself to take short walk breaks, because I was like, oh, I could do 12 hours.
It's kind of a variation of the just keep moving.
Yeah, exactly. It was exactly
that.
But keep moving at a decent pace, I was trying to do as well, right? And then at around like 10 miles left, I figured I had 110 minutes left.
11-minute miles.
About that, yeah. Which to me seemed really hard at the time, because I was looking at my watch and it was coming up 7 minutes per K every time. Because I was walk running. So I was like, oh, I still got a chance. So then I kind of pushed it. I kind of kept with that same strategy for a while. Mile 17.
So the end of the second loop.
16 or 17, in between there, is the only place I lost spots in the entire race. I cramped both my hamstrings cramped up. And I had never had that experience before. So I was like, does this mean I'm not going to finish the Ironman? I actually had that thought in my head. I don't know if you ever had that thought of like, I was like, what? I don't know. It was just the weirdest thing. It was like, am I going to not finish? And then I was like, no, that's not possible. So I was like, you got to figure something out. So I started just rubbing my hamstrings with my hands, because I was like completely stopped at that point. Like I couldn't even move.
And you had one loop left. You had one loop left. Pretty much.
And then I started walking. It was hard to walk for a bit, but then as I started walking, so weird, they went away, those cramps. So, and then I started running, and then I felt good after, weirdly, because I guess, I don't know if it was the adrenaline of now I knew I was going to finish or something. I don't know. But after those cramps, I felt great. And then, do you want me to finish my running story? Or
yeah, just keep talking. It's good. It's good. It's
So then I was almost done. Then when I started that third loop, that was a bit of another.
Was it? Is it like a boost, right?
Boost. What?
It's a boost, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's a bit of a mental boost.
Because now you're like, I know where the finish line is. I see the finish line in my head. One more loop, the forest, the trail, the river.
You go straight instead of doing another loop.
And at the end, it's shorter. Hippie Hollow, there's the turn. Oh, like I'm there. I can see the last 8 miles in my head.
Because at 16 is a tough point, because you're like, I'm almost done the second loop, but then I did math and I'm like, that's still 10.2 miles.
Yeah, you're not really. So when I was doing quick tangent, and I want to get right, but when I was doing the ultra, I had divided it in thirds, and I divided each third in thirds. And that second third of each of those thirds is by far the toughest. And like, it's not till I would reach the third of each loop that I'd get that boost, right? And then the third loop, when I got to hour 7, I was like, oh, okay, it's only 18 more or whatever, 17 more miles. Like I'm there. Like I could see the finish line. So you were sensing that.
Yeah. So at that point, though, I was still also thinking about my 12 hours. Like, I guess I had kind of set as like a goal of 12 hours before. It was kind of like a soft goal, because I had no clue how the bike would go or whatever. But
it's exactly what you said. You'd said when we talked at dinner the night before, 2 nights, we talked about goals, and you said kind of hour 30, 6 and 4:15 plus transitions, just under 12 hours, I think. I don't know if I did the right numbers there, but
Yeah, somewhere around there, right? So I actually did. Yeah. Anyways, so
You did better on the bike and worse on the run, but whatever.
yeah, exactly. So then I started doing math again, and it was hard to figure out. But I knew I was like, my margin at some point it was like I had 11 minutes per mile. It was getting below 11 minutes per mile as I went on. So it was
You're
getting
losing
harder and
those
harder.
minutes.
I was getting harder and harder. And at some point, I think it was like I had like, so I hit mile 23. Now I remember, and so 3.2 miles left.
I remember where that is. It's in the community there in the back.
Yeah. And 34 minutes I had left. So I figured 11-minute miles, that's 33, plus 2 minutes for the 0.2, 35. So I figured, I'm 1 minute behind. I won't make it. Because I was kind of around that 11-minute mile at the end pace. So I was like, I won't make it. And then I said, okay, well, don't worry about that. I remember I told myself, don't worry about that. Try to push your runs a little longer every time going in.
Well, you're still walk running here.
Oh yeah. Still, but my breaks were getting shorter too. So I was now doing like one cone and trying to run. I'd pick a spot and then I'd get to there. I'm like, no, go further. So I'd go a little further than my spot now. So I knew I was starting to feel a bit better because I was going further than my actual goal spot. And then right before mile 25, I took a little walk break, and then I started running. And then I said, okay, well, I mean, this is it. Like, I don't know how close I am to 12, but I think I can maintain this pace the rest of the way. Like just do it no matter how painful it is, right? And I told myself that. And as I got closer, it got easier and easier and easier. And at the end, I pushed really hard. And I think I did my last mile in about 7:45.
So does that mean
go ahead. That means I could have gone faster. It was mental, but anyways.
No, that's not what I was saying. I was saying, did you actually do like a 13-minute mile and a 7-minute mile? Or is it possible that the last mile, like, did you actually do 2 10-minute miles?
No,
you said you had 33 minutes, right? You had 33 minutes to do the last 3 miles.
Yeah, but I was doing 12. I probably did 12 and 11.
12 and 11. So I'm convinced the last mile measure is not accurate.
I want my last mile to have been fast. No, I'm just kidding. So I guess I had 34 minutes. So I think I did probably 11 and a half. 12, something like that, and like 10 and a half. So that would have been 23, 24,
34 and
24
change.
plus 30. Sorry. So I did the math right. So 11 and a half and 12, let's say the last two, plus 0.2. So that's 25 minutes. Yeah, and so I guess I probably did a 9-minute mile or something.
I mean, you were sprinting around that corner when I saw you.
Anyways, I ran all the way from 25 miles in, and I did the final, and I did it. And I saw I was at. I actually looked at my watch when I saw the last finish line, and it said, well, I didn't see the 11. It said 59:19.
So you were still a ways out then. Okay, so no, I want to take you through that last mile. So you saw mile 25 and you're like, shit, I have a chance. And I just keep running.
It wasn't even like that. It was like,
close your eyes, shut up, and just run.
It was like, what can I do right now? The only thing that matters is right now. And I think I can run the rest of the way.
Like, fuck the math. Fuck
like I've done this
run.
before. I can do it,
Yeah.
Like, why not? Why not just run the last
Focus on the one thing I can do now, which is run. I can do.
Who cares about how mentally weak I was for the last 24 miles, or the last 12 miles, and just do this mile? Because that's kind of how I felt. I was like, why am I so mentally weak that I couldn't run? Anyways, that's weird to say, but that's how I felt. But
that's the whole thing all day. That's what you're doing every hour, every half hour, every 10 minutes, every 5 minutes. That's all you're doing all day in an Ironman is I should probably just quit. Like it'd be way easier to just quit, but that's all you're doing all day is no, I'm not going to quit. No, keep biking. No, keep need to push the pace.
For me, it was like a little different. It was like I was telling myself, like, why am I so weak for having like walked so much? Anyways, but then I said, okay, but now that doesn't matter. Now let's just run. And I just ran though, and I was super proud that I ran.
You didn't know you'd beat it till you saw the finish, and you had 40 seconds or whatever.
Well, it was weird because I know how these finish lines sometimes they snake forever.
Yeah.
So I didn't want to check my watch till I saw the finish line.
You were just pushing as hard as you could.
Yeah. I didn't check my watch till I saw the finish line. And when I saw the finish line, I looked up and I saw 59:19. I was like, I'll make it. Actually, I didn't know I was going to make it because it looked pretty
could have
far.
could have been a couple.
Well, no,
swings.
I could see the whole finish line, but it was like how.
But you had to go down to the right, and you had to do the U-turn, right?
No, I mean when I did the last U-turn is when I checked.
Okay.
But I was like, how far is that? I don't know how far that is. Like, is it 100 meters? Is it 200 meters? I don't know. I had no clue. So I was pretty sure I was going to, I wasn't 100% sure even that I was going to make it, but I made it by 13 seconds. So obviously no problem.
But that's about as tight as you could possibly get in an Ironman.
Yeah.
Right. It's about as tight as you could get.
Yeah. So anyways, so that part is the best memory right there.
The last mile and just
you
overcoming everything and just being like, stop looking at the watch, just do what you could do and you'll get what you get.
Yeah, exactly.
And you pushed the hardest to get there.
Yeah.
You gained 450 spots throughout the race. After the swim, after the first buoy in the swim, after the first third of the swim, you started in just under 900th place and you finished 438. So you gained 450 spots on the nose.
Yeah.
Pretty much consistently throughout. Like you gained 100 on the swim and then you gained 250 on the bike and you gained 100 on the jog. So you're
what I'm realizing is that what matters the most is the marathon. I mean, everything else is like the race doesn't start till the marathon, basically. I don't know.
Yeah. You still got to be able to push power, but yeah. It's hard to do that marathon.
What about
right?
your last loop?
Oh, I don't know. For me, it was there was a lot of. I mean, I've never felt so good in a race, knowing
in a race,
in an Ironman, and all the ones I've done, all the two that I've done.
That's the worst I've ever felt in anything. Well,
compared to my other one, I'm joking. Like I knew. So I hate saying this because people think it's gonna sound cocky, but I'm gonna say it anyways. Like I knew I was gonna finish. I knew I was gonna do good. I felt good, and I'd gone through the emotions already last year, and I felt good. I was like, now I'm doing the Charlie Tetrault. I'm thinking, could I have shaved 11 minutes? Actually, could I have pushed harder and saved 11 minutes and broke 11 hours? Like 30 seconds per mile. I feel like I pushed hard. My heart rate was kind of in the 155, 160s. Could I have pushed harder? I mean, I didn't. I jogged the whole thing. I didn't stop. I jogged through the aid stations. I didn't walk at all.
Yeah. So here's the other. Let's talk a bit about the run and hydration and eating and stuff. Like I think that was another one of my problems is maybe I didn't drink enough water. I felt like I was drinking so much water. Is it possible I didn't drink enough, even though I drank? Yeah. Like I feel like I drank 20 times as much water as I did in my last marathon. It still wasn't enough. I don't know.
It's rather possible because think of how much water you've drank since you've stepped off that course. How many gallons of water have you drank since you stepped off that course? Like I can't, I have to just drink nonstop right now because my muscles they need it so bad. So think of how you were the last 3 hours of that day. Think of how depleted you would have been, right? I think it's possible, but I could be wrong. I'm not an expert in this. And by the way, we don't pretend to be experts here on AS. We're just two guys.
We're just trying to figure this out.
We're just trying to figure this out. And obviously, if you know, let us know what you think. But I mean, you drank. It's tough for me to say how much I drank because every aid station, I do one water. And if I was kind of in the mood at the end, Gatorade, I do a Gatorade or 2 waters.
I'm thinking what I should have done is way more water on the head. Drank a bit more drink. Drank a bit of Gatorade because at the end I wasn't even. Last 10 miles, I took no nutrition because I just felt so sick.
Yeah, that hurts you for sure. And I know what can you do about it? Like your stomach is not handling. So I had that last year.
I think Gatorade. I think I could have handled a bit more Gatorade.
Because then at least you get something.
Yeah.
That Gatorade Endurance has sodium. It has it's like a gel for one bottle. But I mean, it would have helped a little bit. Did you do oranges or bananas?
No, I should have done oranges.
Oranges you can handle and you get that sugar rush and it kind of feels good.
Yeah. I think I should have done oranges too. Yeah. What about was there pickle juice or anything on there? Or?
They didn't have that. I didn't see that. They didn't have bouillon. Maybe they just take that stuff out later for the hackers, like chicken broth.
I saw chicken broth, but I was like, there's no way I'm doing that. But maybe pretzels would have been good.
They had pretzels.
Yeah, no, I know they had pretzels. That's what I'm saying. Like maybe I could have taken those.
Yeah, I didn't touch it. I mean, I didn't touch any. I had bananas and oranges. I did a ton of water and Gatorade. Just do it, Rob, and whatever. If you have to piss, you have to piss. I was trying not to piss. The reason I didn't want to, because I didn't want to stop for a piss, but I was always on the edge of pissing. So I did 2 pees in the water. I did 5 during the bike, and I did 0 on the course, on the run course. But the last, I want to say, I don't know if it's 5 miles or 6 miles or 4 miles, I switched to Red Bull. And I've never done this. I've never done the amount of Red Bull that I don't drink coffee. I felt great. Felt great the last miles. Like you're always, I'm not going to lie to you and tell you they were easy because you're like, okay, 5 miles. Okay, 5.25, 5.3 miles, 5.2 miles, like it's like that constant battle.
Yeah.
But it was like, oh yeah, it's been 5 minutes. That's probably half a mile. All right, keep going. And then I just, don't stop moving is what that became my motto. Was just keep jogging. Don't stop jogging. That was my motto. Just don't stop jogging. Because I knew that if I stopped jogging, it'd be hard to start again. Yeah. Like you can jog. So I just kept saying myself to that over and over and over and over.
Even
again.
if you run slow, just keep going.
Yeah. My just keep jogging was my equivalent of just keep moving from my last time.
Yeah. And it was like for me, my walk break.
Yeah. And it was
short. Keep it short. I was just trying to keep my walk breaks short.
The course itself too, like it reminded me a lot of Des Moines. I think there were more people, but it was 8 miles is kind of a quick loop, right? 8.5 miles. You're kind of going through it pretty quick. I enjoyed the race itself. Do you have I see you checking your watch here. You probably have a time commitment here.
No, I don't. We can keep going.
No, I just I think like how do you feel about your time? Are you proud? Are you happy? Are you
I'm relatively proud for a newbie, a first timer. I think it's a pretty good time.
You're definitely in the top quartile of people who do an Ironman for their first time. Like it's got to be, right?
Yeah. I think, but I feel like I could do better. I mean, I think I would mentally prepare better. I think there needs to be longer runs in your training after a long bike, like a 3 and 3. You know how we do 5 and 1? Yeah. I think 3 not to train physically, but to train mentally. I think I could have done a little bit better. Obviously, there's lots of things I could have done better, but there's lots of things I did amazing. So I'm happy. Yeah.
I think the whole thing is amazing. Like you went from never owning a bike to doing an Ironman within 6 months kind of thing. And you're like in the top, like you're within an hour, not even, you're within 50 minutes of qualifying for Worlds.
Yeah. So while I was on the bike at the end of against the wind, mile 70, I was like, I'm never doing this again.
Yeah. Why did I sign up for this? Were you mad at me? Why did Rob?
No. I was like, I'm going to do this once and this is going to be an accomplishment. That's fine.
Sell the bike, put the medal on the wall, sell the wetsuit.
Because I was like, okay, I got to go. I still got to do like another 2 hours on the bike or another 2.5 hours on the bike. And then I have to run a marathon. I was like, oh, it's going to be tough. But But now that it's after, I want to do better now. Like it only took me like a day where I'm like, I want to do better next time anyways.
And you're already thinking how you can trim and where you can improve. And if you were to trim an hour for you, it's probably more off the run and half and half off the bike and the run, probably a little bit on the swim.
Oh, I think I could definitely trim 10 on the swim.
10 on the swim.
10 easy on the swim, because just doing it once is 5, and then get in slightly better shape. That's 5.
And
I think I can get. I think I
can
can get for sure 10 or 15 on the bike, just getting slightly better shape.
Yeah.
And I think there's at least half an hour. No, there's at least 45 minutes on the run.
Plus there's 5 on the transitions too, right? You could probably
improve. And there's 5 under. So there's all that's out there. I mean, would have to put a lot of work to do that, but I feel like my run, but the only way I can trim 45 minutes on my run is I got to get through this injury, and I got to be able to train way more, because I think that's the difference between me and you, is that you trained for that long race and you had way more endurance than me.
Holy shit, did I train for that race? Yeah.
Yeah.
And I did that race too.
Yeah.
I did 9 hours and 17 minutes on a frickin', like after that first 2 loops, let's call that the bike.
Yeah.
The first 2 loops, 6 hours, the bike and the swim.
Yeah.
I had to do another marathon kind of thing. And I know it's not the same, but it was harder than the Ironman. I still think it was harder. And then mentally,
I would believe it.
Mentally, it was way harder, because you're kind of doing the effort you're doing on the marathon, but for the whole thing.
Yeah, like to me, biking, even biking, like I know it's kind of hard, but I feel like I could do that bike. I could do that for 10 hours. Like I don't think it would be. I could do 10 hours on the bike easier than 6 hours plus a 4 on the.
Yeah, so I think that
I think that would be easier.
I think that mentally, like the going through 9 hours of just constantly telling yourself not to quit in the ultra 2 months ago was a great training for this, because now I was like, okay, you're not quitting, obviously. Like you just keep going, keep jogging. Arrête de bouder, quit your whining.
So some stats about how good your run was. You started in 473rd place, finished in 272. So you moved up 201 spots on the run.
201 spots.
That's amazing.
I certainly didn't feel like anyone passed me, that's for sure. But I'm
and sure even me, who feel like I walked so much of it, I moved up from 514 to 438.
Did I not? Okay, so you did a 430. Do you recall offhand what I did in Des Moines? I think I did a 517, and I'm 99% sure I gained some spots in Des Moines.
Yeah, because you were farther back, right? So it's like,
okay, yeah, right. I was in the nose
because you were so further back on the bike. So
good point. Yeah, I was with the hackers.
Yeah, like you actually. So on your bike, because you were so much farther ahead of me after the swim, right? You actually moved back.
I lost what, 70 spots or something?
Almost 100 spots.
Almost 100 spots
on the bike, but with the transition only 70. But the second half of the bike, you actually gained spots.
I gained 21 spots in transition. That's unreal.
Yeah. I even gained spots on transition. I
gained 23 on my first transition, and I gained 21 on my second transition. That's pretty good. 46 spots gained in 2 transitions.
I gained 15 spots on transitions. Even me, like, who felt they were super slow. But
yeah, it's so biking. I need to improve my biking, but I can improve. 272 I finished, 46th overall. Good enough for the spot. You were 69th overall in the males.
In our category.
In our category for males.
In our age group, yeah.
But there were like 250 or something like that. But don't forget, that doesn't include the DNFs, right? Or does it?
Yeah, it doesn't, because there were bibs.
10%.
There was some 2000. There's some bibs in the 2000s.
Yeah, there's DNS, people who didn't even start. So we beat them. And then there's DNFs, people who started and didn't finish. I think it was someone said about 10%, I heard at the breakfast.
Yeah, so yeah.
So, I mean, you beat 40% or whatever. I don't know. I feel good about this. I think you should feel great. You should feel proud.
Yeah, of course I do. Yeah.
And then you should start immediately training to be. Oh, the other part I want to say is on the first run loop, end of my first run loop.
Did you see the pros at all? I didn't realize, but the pros passed us on the bike at some point.
Oh yeah, they passed. Yeah, for sure.
I was like, every once in a while I see someone going fast. I'm like, man.
No, but they had the motor. They had the motorcycle.
Yeah, well, now I realize that that's what it was, but I didn't realize that the pros were passing us. Yeah.
When I got on quick story. When I got on the the jog.
Yeah,
I was on the jog, so I'm on my first loop. So like I know that it got confusing in your second and third loop because you don't know if the people you're passing are on their first.
Well, you can kind of tell by how they're running. Right?
You could kind of tell, but like there was a guy who looked really good, and we jogged together for a bit, and I told him, "Man,
I lost your sound for some reason."
I told him, "Hear me now? Hear me now? Hear me now? Test. Hear me now?
Yeah.
Hear me now?
Yeah,
you hear me?
Hear you.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I saw him and I was like, oh man, you're doing great. Nice pace. Keep up the good work. And he goes, yeah, 2 more loops. I was on my third loop. I was like, oh, sorry, dude, in my head. Because I was like,
you're not going to make it.
I was like, slow the pace, buddy.
You got to slow down, man. You're struggling too hard.
But what I was going to say is on my first, it gets confusing if people are on their first or second or third loop. You don't really know. But on my first loop, I know that everyone I'm running with is at least, they're not.
They're at least as fast as you, or they should be as fast as you.
Yeah. So then I got passed by a woman, bib number 6, actually, I remember.
It was a pro.
And then it said
she was on her third loop.
She was on her third loop, probably. I was like, holy, she's cruising. She was going way faster than me because nobody was passing me on the run. Like nobody was passing me.
Who was 6? Who was
bib number 6? She passed me.
I'll check it out for you.
Yeah. And then the other story I want to tell while you check for that is the second time that I saw you. The second time that I saw you, I was running back towards the starting line at the end of loop 1.
Dina Lewis, 306.
How did she do? 306 on the run?
On the marathon.
Jeez, she was hustling.
Third fastest of all the women.
In the marathon?
Marathon, 5th fastest overall.
Yeah, so she passed me, and I was like, "How is she running that?" And then I said, "Okay, she's a pro, I guess." But I was doing 8-minute miles, and she was like zoomed by me. I was like, the other part is when I saw you on the other side of because
I lost again. I lost your sound. It's every time I get a Teams. I don't know. Sorry.
It's okay. I'll just keep talking. The sound works. So I knew that you hadn't. Now I knew that you hadn't passed me because I saw you at mile 80. And you hadn't passed me. So I'm like, he hasn't passed me for the whole bike. So I'm ahead of him. So I knew I was ahead of you. But
you were only 3 minutes ahead.
I expected you to pass me the whole way on the bike. I was like, he's going to pass me. I was expecting it and I was okay with it.
I was expecting it too, but I was like, oh man, you must be having a good bike run.
I already decided I was going to try to follow you. I was going to like go with you.
Oh, like draft me the whole way.
Not draft, but like follow your pace. Like try to get to the jog together. I'd already decided that if you were
I was hoping I would pass you too so that we could do that, like kind of at least start the run together. But
yeah, I was kind of looking forward to that, talking a bit about the race and encouraging each other. But I guess
I would have done a lot better had we started the run together.
I agree. And then I was actually, I actually kind of asked, I wanted kind of Diggs and those guys to tell me roughly where you were. Cause I was like, is there a chance that we can run together? Like I thought if he's a minute behind me, I'll just wait. Yeah. But I didn't know. And they didn't know.
You were probably at least a half loop ahead of me the whole time at the beginning, at least. And then, no, you were only like 5 minutes ahead of me, I guess, at first, or 8 minutes with the transition.
Yeah. So basically,
but by the end, you were a whole, like almost 2/3 of a loop ahead of me, right?
At the end of the first loop, so call it mile 7.8 roughly, I was coming back. You were on the other side, just past Hippie Hollow. And I saw you right there. So I'm like, okay, he's got 2 miles. I was maybe 2 miles ahead of you. I thought.
Yeah. So at that point we were pretty close. I mean, that's 20 minutes, but you started 4 ahead of me, right? So
yeah, I guessed that you were like a mile and a half or 2, and then I was like, he's gonna pass me, because I was like, he's running sub 4 marathons. That's what he said he's doing. So I don't want to embarrass you. That motivated me to keep going. I was like, I gotta push here. I can't let Charlie pass me.
No,
and then I got over that.
Yeah, you were obviously in good shape. You were obviously doing well. You almost did 11, right? So, where's their next Ironman?
I don't know, man. I'm in. Like, I got to figure the shoulder thing out.
Do you want me to? So California, October 22nd.
When are we doing New York Marathon?
New York, November 6th, but we'll be recovered by then.
When is the last time you can qualify for the Worlds?
I think this was one of the last ones.
Okay.
I don't know. But we'll figure that out.
Yeah, maybe we go international for the next one. I saw a guy
I looked at the California course and it looks really easy because it's like high of 22 and downstream river swim.
A cheater swim?
Cheater Ironman. Downstream river swim. High of 22.
When is that? October
22nd.
I could be talked into that one for sure. Get our Peg City crew. By the way, the guys were all wearing these shirts.
Yeah.
These shirts, and they were like visible. And I guess we had a crew that was visible. Trav did well. Dwayne did well. You did well. I did well. Trav, you might be a little disappointed his time, but he did 12 and change. So like that's a really good Ironman time. Plus he's like 50 something. So anyways, the Winnipeg crew represented is what I was going to say. And I'm kind of proud to have those guys on our crew or we're part of it.
Yeah, I would not have been able to do it without Travis and Dwayne. So Dwayne was really helpful with the bike and Travis was just a lot of good tips. So that's great.
Those guys are good. They're good to have. All right. So we'll figure out a time. We'll record another session and debrief in a couple of days. We'll do another debrief. So now I guess we're supposed to take the week off and I want to tell this last story.
I feel so fresh. Oh yeah. I want this story too. I have one more story before that story.
Okay, you go your story.
Mine isn't as good as yours. But so the second loop, I think it was like about mile, I don't know, 16, 17. Yeah, I think it was actually after my cramps. So it would have been like mile 17 around there. Anyways, I saw Claude, my dad. I saw my dad and I saw Sylvain. And I said, and they were cheering me on. And I said, hey, where's Rob? Oh, he's just ahead of you. You were like 40 minutes ahead. And so I was like, what? How's he doing so good? Anyways, no, I was like, man, he's doing awesome. So I picked up the pace for like a half a mile, but then I was like tired again. So
that's why I think if we would have finished the bike together, we would have both done better potentially. Well, I would have for sure. I would have
definitely done better for a bit anyways. I think I may, I don't know. We'll see. I don't know, but I think you did amazing. So.
Yeah, it was fun. It was fun to have Claude there too, afterwards, and how pumped he was about the whole thing. And he's
I was so dead after you guys were looking for your phone, and I had eaten a couple pieces of pizza, and I was like, after the pizza, I was like so dead. I actually like just laid down on the grass and I fell asleep like within 20 seconds. And apparently the dogs were all like sniffing, like licking my legs and stuff, like I was a wounded animal or something. But
yeah, the dogs all congregate. When I went to the tent to get my phone and I came back, I saw that. I was like, holy shit, something happened to Charlie because there's 3 dogs licking him. And no, you were just, the dogs just sensed that you were hurt, I guess. And Claude took away his whole arm. Scratched with his leg, his arm, and his chin was all bloody. He fell off the grandstands when he was trying to. Apparently, it wasn't his fault, but.
Okay, your good story.
Okay, real quick. After the race, we're in the hot tub and we're kind of eating a little bit. It's what is it? 11:30.
Yeah, it was pretty late. It was like midnight almost.
We're kind of talking. We had talked all weekend about a midnight race. Claude was supposed to run against Diego, Labby, and Sil. and it was going to be $100 on the line. 1 mile was their race supposed to be. And it never happened because guys are drinking beers and like, it didn't happen. Claude didn't stay up till midnight and it just didn't happen. But I was like, oh man, I feel good. He was like, oh, how are you feeling, Rob? I feel good. I said, I feel like I could jog a mile right now, or I feel like I could race. And then Labby's like, well, obviously. And then you said it, or someone said like, oh, why don't we do a race? Next thing you know, I'm putting my shoes on. It's like almost midnight. Putting my shoes on. You mapped out a course, 1 mile. We were going around this. It was like exactly a mile, 1.1 miles. I ran against Diego and Labby. Those guys did 2-hour trail halves. So those guys are probably like 150 half marathon athletes, I'd say, something like that. Anyways,
they're decent runners. Anyways,
they're decent runners.
Yeah.
And I did a 6 minute and 10 mile at midnight, and Patrick saw it. He's like, "What is this?" And I was like, "Oh, it's the race."
you put it in Training Peaks.
Well, because I recorded on my watch. I wanted to see what pace I did.
What did he say?
He was blown away. He's like, because my heart rate was pretty high, and I know I did not want to lose to Labby and Diggs, so I pushed very hard out of the gate. And they were following me. They were. I
felt like when Patrick sent the text, well, too late for Rob. I felt like saying like,
because he's like, take a week off. I felt so good. I went out. I jogged a mile. Anyways, I beat those guys. I beat Labby by 30 seconds and Diggs by 40 seconds. They still did sub 7 miles, but anyways, I did a 6 minute mile after that. Felt good. Felt so good. I feel good still today.
And I was like, I can't even walk.
I guess I didn't go hard enough. All right.
But it goes back to me, the hardest part of an Ironman is the mental part at the end.
Yeah, because it's so easy. And quit is a relative term, because quit means 14-minute miles or 13-minute miles or 12-minute miles, whatever, right? Your quit might be different than someone else's quit. Right. I'm not talking about quitting. I'm talking about just pushing as hard as you possibly can, in that it's hard. Very hard.
I don't think you should expect to, I think it's too much to expect that you would push as hard as you can. I think that's too much of a hard standard to put on yourself. But if you can push like 80% of what your potential is at the end, that's pretty admirable, I would say, something like that. Anyways,
which I think we both did, right? I was in the 150s, hit kind of 160. It's hard to do that for 4 hours after you've been pushing hard on the bike. Like that's admirable. I think that's good.
Yeah.
So that is maybe the 100% for Ironman.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
Maybe it's not 180 after you've done.
No, but I'm saying, like, let's say you had a day where you were like in the zone. Like, okay. The marathon we did in Los Angeles. I don't know about you, but that was 100% for me. Like that, I was in the zone, and I maybe for 1 mile, the last mile, I took it a bit easy because I knew I had my under 3 hours. But up to mile 25, that was like I was in the zone. It was 100%. I'm thinking you could get into that zone for an Ironman. Let's say you have let's say next time your goal is I want to qualify for Kona and it's 10:30 and you've trained really hard. I think it would be possible if you're motivated enough and you get in that zone that you could do that, where you're mentally there 100% of the time, but you have to have like a really hard goal and you have to be like really in the zone. I think those are the two prerequisites to be like in that state where you give. Like if you don't have that goal, it's impossible, right?
It's so hard to get to that state. It's so hard. It's like nirvana, right? It's so hard to get to that state because it's hard to get to that state. To the state where you're actually going 100 miles an hour, like you're 100% for the whole time. I didn't do it in Vegas. I think I did pretty good. I think I hit some 98s and some 99s, but I don't think I was as much in the zone as you were.
Yeah, I think I did the best possible effort I could have done up to mile 25. 25, I kind of cruised it in.
But you knew you had it then, and it's okay, I think, right?
Yeah.
I think if someone would have told me 11 hours, you're qualifying for Worlds, if it was like Boston, I don't know.
Let's say that would have been like your goal from the beginning. Like, I think maybe you could have, like, the goal helps in that.
So much. It's tough when you're beating your PBs and you're in no man's land. You've never really never really prepped or raced or mentally prepared yourself. Because we were both like, hey, if we could break 12, that'd be unreal. And now I'm like, you're way ahead of that. It makes it tough. It's kind of like our first, when I did that 323 in Tucson, or was that Tucson? No, Vegas. When we did Vegas, like that was like, holy shit. Like, could we have maybe qualified for Boston that day? Had we had a goal?
Maybe you could have, maybe I couldn't have.
No, I don't think so. But I'm saying we just all of a sudden 323. Holy shit! Like it came out of nowhere, and you don't have you can't mentally. The build up to the goal and the carrot is significant for the 100% effort, I think.
Yeah.
To get into the zone.
Yeah.
Which I think that was
interesting thing.
Pretty darn close, but. I do think, could I have shaved 11 minutes? Keep thinking about that. Could I have shaved 11 minutes? Could I have shaved 11 minutes? Like, I'm not going to beat myself up over it, but like, it's in the back of my mind. No, I'm happy with what I did, but I definitely want to do it next race. Definitely need to.
No, I think 351 for you, like that wasn't even on your radar.
No,
until I said I think you can do under 4 hours.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I said I think I can do under 4 hours, which meant I think you can do under 4 hours too.
I think you're setting your goals too low. Tetrault. I did, it was not on my radar, but after it became one of my goals pretty early in the run. Okay, that's like your worst case goal. Like you're not breaking 4 hours.
Yeah, so there was no way you were not going to put enough effort to break 4 hours.
Correct. That would have been my kind of mail it in time, I think.
Yeah, like that was your minimum effort level. Basically.
That was my But because I pushed so hard to maybe take a shot at 11, I trimmed so many minutes that I had some spare. Because my miles, like they were 9.5 minute miles. Like
your second half. Your second half was a lot slower.
I have it here. It was.
What was your first half versus second half?
Are those on the course?
Well, you have to calculate it.
So I ran my 13 miles that I ran with Sil's watch, and then his watch died. So I have miles 9 to 22. They were all like 8:30, 8:40, 8:50, 8:40, 8:50, 9, 8:40, 9:05. 9:22, 9:21, 9:16. So heart rate 155. I don't know. I know I was slower. I know I was slower. It was a good time. Okay, we'll stop this here.
Yeah.
Probably reminiscing time for some other time, and let's find another race. Charlie, proud of you. That was awesome. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and catch us wherever you catch your running podcast. Thank you for tuning in, guys. If you ran the race, if you ran a different Ironman, if you want to throw your thoughts, comments, we'd love to hear from you. Put them below, and don't forget to follow us wherever you catch your podcast. Thanks, guys. Rob and Charlie checking out. See you.